Hey everybody, Dr. Charlton here. I just want to give you a quick intro to my guide here that I've prepared for you. So, this is a really, by its nature, a very ambiguous project because the client is different every course, and how you want to solve their marketing problem can really vary. I mean, you could have infinite number of different solutions are possible, and so Um, and so it's been a real challenge trying to figure this out. So ultimately, I ended up having to write this book and prepare this sort of free guide to give more structure to it because I've found that my students perform much better when they have more structure. And so this really lays out how this project should be done. Um, what it does is it really I found that students ask the same questions over and over. And so it kind of answers those questions, helps standardize things so that you're giving the client something that's useful to them, something that you can be proud of. So I feel like this book has been really successful so far. It's free to use, and it is in beta form still. So it's like kind of still I'm still kind of writing it as we go. So if you see problems or confusing parts, let me know and I'll clean it up. And I appreciate the feedback. So let me just get into it here. First of all, the contents. Section one, we go into what the consulting project is kind of like all about, what it looks like, um, everything from how you work with the client, how you work together in a team. This is a specific flavor of client projects. So there's two ways you could really do it, right? You could do a marketing plan, like a full comprehensive plan for a client. This is not that project. This is a marketing solution project. So it's more specific and narrow. So the client gives us a marketing problem and then we solve that problem for them. So then the whole plan is built around analyzing and developing that plan. So there's several sections. A couple of things I just want to highlight mainly are kind of some of the formatting for a lot of the projects is laid out in the last section, the communication section. So when it comes to the consulting proposal and the client report itself, the client pitch, all these things, all these deliverables that you're going to turn in as a student team are all really well laid out and documented here in the communication section. And I'm just going to skip all this good stuff all the way down there so that I can show you what I mean. So let's see. So this tells you how to format your slide deck, what should be in it. Um, it Here's an example. Sorry, this is an example of a proposal, and then tells you everything that should be in your initial proposal to the client. This is the first project that we do. It's in great detail laid out. The only thing that so most of this stuff you're just restating back to the client that you're what they already know, and the only place to be creative is here in the methods section, where you explain how you're going to solve their problem. And then as I scroll down some more, the client report section is even more important because this is the slide deck that you're going to deliver to the client. We're not going to give them a 20-page double-spaced written report because they won't be able to read that. They're too busy. So what we do instead is a slide deck that is interpretable without a presenter. So these are all the rules of how to make a slide deck that can serve as a report. Here's an example slide. So you notice at the top, we have this action title, Lego Masters is a success. And then you have a subtitle that explains what we even mean by that. And then we have the data graphed out in a really clean format. You can see the year that I'm most interested in is highlighted so that it should be obvious. It should be super obvious to the client. And then in the bottom, the footnotes, is really the source of the data or any additional explanation that you want to give to the client. So this is a slide that would be in a consulting report. And this format, we're going to talk more about this format. We're going to go into it over and over until everybody really internalizes it. This is what's used by it's similar to what's used by big consulting firms, McKinsey, Bain, BCG, and this is how they communicate with their clients. So we're sort of like stealing their ideas and we're doing it their way. And I've found it's the best way to do it. And the reason is because, the client will get like 10 pitches in a row. They forget all this stuff, but they take the slide deck with them so they can refer back to that and say, oh, yeah. And a lot of times this slide deck might get passed on to somebody else who wasn't even there at your pitch. So they can digest all this information just as well. So here's some more examples. There's a lot of examples of these slides in this document. So I guess what I want to tell you is make sure you rely on this document heavily when you're writing when you're doing the client project. This lays out, especially the first project, the client proposal is completely spelled out in this document. I mean, I even give an example right here. So this is what it would look like. It's kind of a letter format. And then after the first team project, we switch to the slide presentation. And then for the second and third, you're going to do kind of a slide format and you're putting together this report. You're building it through those two projects. And then the final thing is the client pitch. So you're going to pitch this to the client. And then we're going to be done. So it's 4 projects and they're all separately graded, and we're going to collect peer feedback after each one. Please stay involved throughout the process and don't let your team members down, and show up, and it should go really well. As we've dialed this in, we've gotten to the point where clients have been really pleased with the deliverables they've gotten. So I would suggest that you stick to this guide and try to do your best to make slides that kind of follow this format. And if you do that, it's a recipe for success. The client will be pleased, the professor, the instructor will be pleased. And that's all I got for now, because this is just meant to be an overview, but I encourage you to go ahead and just read this guide. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.